Let's take a minute to review the relief printing process, which is what letterpress is all about. In this basic diagram, you can see that the base of the bed or the press or whatever is down here is holding the type and the images and the ink, whatever you have, which is raised. So relief printing means that the inked area, the printing area, is raised and the non-printing area is lower. So the basic process is that you have ink on top and blank over here down underneath it, which will not print. If you put a sheet of paper in between those and then press down with the platen, you'll make the paper have contact and press against the ink surface, and that's one of the reasons it's called letterpress. Now here you can see three main types of letterpress printing. We have the Platen Press, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And you'll notice that the bed of the press is on this side, the platen is on this side. And when they come together, the whole thing is vertical with the paper in between the platen and the bed of the press and the inked form right here on this side. In the middle here we see the cylinder press, which is exactly like the Vandercook presses that we have at UFAS. The cylinder is made of a horizontal bed, and locked into that horizontal bed will be raised pieces of either type or images or cuts or whatever. The paper is latched onto a cylinder, and that cylinder rolls across the inked form on the bed of the press. Over here you have a rotary press. Now we don't have one of these. These are very, very large, and they run very, very fast and very capable of running thousands in just a few seconds. The paper actually comes on a roll and is fed here, and it goes between this plate cylinder and goes onto the impression cylinder, and then it comes out here. You've probably seen old movies of these kinds of presses where the newsprint is coming off, the newspaper is being printed on them, and it shows them all coming off nicely folded and all of that. The plate cylinder is kind of interesting. It doesn't have things like loose type and images. It has plates instead, which is a totally different kind of process. Now let's talk a little bit about the Platen Press. That's what we're going to be using today. So you can see the basic principles here. Here's the bed. It also has the word chase written here. The chase is actually an iron frame that's going to hold all the type or images or whatever we're going to print. You lock it into that chase just like you would lock it up into the Vandercook press. Up here you have the ink disc. This is where you're going to put the ink. And up here is an inking fountain. Now an inking fountain is something that would allow a small dab of ink to go onto the disc from time to time, so you don't have to stop and re-ink the press manually. We do not have a fountain either at school or on my home press. Over here you have the rollers. These rollers will go up, run up here, pick up ink, come back down, and then ink the form. Over here is the platen. That's where the paper is going to be, and these grippers help hold the paper in place when it begins to turn vertically to meet the bed of the press. Over here you have a foot treadle. Now the one we're using today, the press we're using today, does not have a treadle. It is motor powered. But the foot treadle in the old days would have been used. The printer would just simply pump this treadle up and down, and that's what would move the press.